Were we missing anybody
Well,
tonight?
she's on her way in. Yeah, Andrea is not joining
That's
us
what I was
tonight.
asking.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, Andrea's not.
Sorry.
Another commitment, no, that's okay. All right, so it's 6:00, and I'm going to call the, meeting of the Hollis School Board to order. First up, agenda adjustments.
Yes, we have two. We'll add two items under deliberation with the board's permission. Both of them are already on the agenda from the sense that we need to take a formal vote on the maintenance trust, and we need to take a formal vote if the board decides they want to do the recommendations from Kelly in her memo. Dawn included Kelly's memo in the outline because we were aware of that one early in the week. And the other one, I crafted a motion if that helps. Also, during my correspondence, we're going to have our presentation on our Eagle Scout project, and I'll shortly turn that over to Candy after we go through the minutes and I update you on nominations.
Okay. Any other agenda adjustments? Okay, and then we're gonna amend the agenda. Meeting minutes.
Folks, sorry, I'm a little late. Can you just a moment, please?
Sure.
I'll be right there. Thank you for your patience. So, the meeting minutes. My goodness, I'm being very strange. I beg your pardon, I'm looking for the, outline that has the adjustments to the minutes. There we are. So I move to accept the minutes of the public meeting of the Hollis School Board organizational meeting, May 3rd, 2023, with the following amendments. Page 3, line 35, replace add with and. Page 4, line 45, delete in the following third place. Page 5, line 44, replace image with imagine.
So moved.
Second.
I beg your pardon, I did the move.
Oh, second.
I just wanted the records clear. Thank you, Carol, second.
Yep. Okay, all in favor?
And then we have a non-public set. I move to accept the minutes of the Hollis School Board non-public meeting of May 3rd, 2023 as presented.
Second.
All in favor? 0. Great, thank you. All right, correspondence, resignations, retirements, and nominations.
I just want to provide the board with an update. It's informational because it's an administrative position. But we have offered, and Sarah Prue has accepted a special education administrative position. Sarah has her bachelor's in family studies and child development from UNH. She has her master's in elementary education from UNH, and she will be very shortly finishing up her CAGS in educational leadership from New England College. She's been working under the supervision of Paula during the school year and doing some work with me. She was a classroom teacher here from 2000 to 2016 and is presently our library media specialist from 2016 to 2023. This is the next logical step in her career. We are very excited that she has gone through this process and interviewed. We think that her existing relationships with staff and families will go a long way. And in talking with Lauren and the special ed folks, we can provide her with professional development training this summer and in different pieces to fill in those areas that might concern some folks. But we're very excited, and Sarah will be joining us on our typical 1+1 contract. So she'll be 260 days, which means that she's employed next year, and then in next spring we make an evaluation to continue for a second year. And her starting salary will be $96,500. So we're very excited.
I love this.
Yeah,
That's great.
it is. Yeah, it's going to be very good. I can't stress enough the existing relationships, knowing the classrooms, knowing our students, knowing our paraprofessionals, all the elements that go into being a successful administrator. She has many of those are already in place. So this will be more technical support, which in some ways is the easiest support you can give somebody. Yep.
I can't stress enough the exceptional character of that individual.
Yeah.
This is an incredibly great
Yeah.
landing.
Yeah, exactly. Mhm.
That's right.
So the board's work and the administration's work to cultivate internally is really paying off. You know, we have had some external administrators to balance that, but there have been specific positions, and I do want to recognize Paula because she's here tonight as well, all the time and effort that she's put in as a mentor for Sarah to finish out her internship.
Andy, I was really, 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 I've been sweating bullets about this for so long, so worried. This has been, what a great piece of news.
Yeah, yeah. So we're administratively across the SAU now staffed. All our facilities positions are now filled across the entire SAU. It's been a while since we've been able to say that.
Years. Like, do you want to say it one more time?
Yeah.
So everybody-
Yeah. And then by the end of the week, we'll be fully staffed in the Hollis School District. We have a couple pieces that need to just be finished up through HR, and that's why we have the motion tonight to authorize me to hire, because we don't typically meet in July. And with the board's permission, I'd love to turn it over to Candy to introduce our presenter.
Thank you so much, and for giving us the time this evening to showcase Michaela Medina's work at the Upper Elementary School for her Eagle Scout project. She has a very good introduction for herself, but I'll just say I've had the pleasure of meeting with her and her siblings and her parents for a long time now, and we love having the Medinas in our schools and supporting us. So come on up, and I'll get your PowerPoint ready.
You know her sister's going.
Oh, 30. Okay, so hi people at home. All right, whatever. Yeah, you can open it up.
You can go to the next one as soon as it pops up. Hopefully it'll connect and stay connected. There we go.
All right, yeah. So about me and my project. So I'm in Troop 465. We are an all-girls troop in Hollis. I will be the first Eagle Scout in my troop in Hollis, Brookline, the community. It's something I'm very proud of. I wanted to complete my project at Hollis Upper Elementary School because I wanted to give back to the community, and that was part of what the Eagle Project was, is to give back to the community. And I was raised here, and I've previously attended Hollis Upper Elementary School. I am now a junior, rising senior in my at Hollis Upper Elementary. Sorry. Hollis Brookline High School. So it was definitely something I was really proud of, giving back to the community. For my Eagle project, I built 3 brand new picnic tables behind the gym, and I also refurbished 2 benches there. The new benches and picnic tables will allow students to enjoy spending time outside. During COVID-19, the students were allowed to eat outside, and they obviously provided benches, but the benches weren't super great. It didn't provide a lot of room for a lot of students, so I wanted to give back to students, like I previously said, for my project. All right, so my steps to get to the finished product. I reached out to Ms. Fowler, as all you know, to complete my project at Hollis Upper Elementary School. She was super eager about me completing my project here and providing more seating for the students. I got to work on my Eagle proposal and my fundraising plan. I wanted to raise money at Hollis Transfer Station. I know a lot of the workers there by their first names, so we are like super close now. They were incredible, super kind. They provided me with like cooling and stuff because it was like, I think it was hot when I was doing it, but they were super sweet and kind, and I was super lucky to do my bake sale there. I raised $1,288. I totally reached my goal. I was shooting for $721, so I totally surpassed that, which I was not expecting doing a bake sale, but people were hungry and they wanted to donate, so it was great. It was really good. After my bake sale, I reached out to Home Depot to see if they were willing to donate some wood and some supplies. To my shop, they supplied me everything. They supplied me wood, all of my materials, like super great brushes, paint and everything, so I was really shocked. They were super generous. So Home Depot has provided past Eagle Scouts with supplies as well, so they definitely deserve a great shout out. They really helped me with my project. Once the project was completed, I donated all the extra money I'd raised to the school, and they're going to use that to buy new recess balls and sidewalk chalk. So I think it was about $621 to the school. Oh, 692.
By a long shot.
So yeah, so you can buy all the Reese's balls you guys need. So.
Well, it was important for us, right, to make sure the money went back to the students.
Yes.
Since you raised it for that.
Yeah, that's what my goal was. So that is before. Those are the 2 benches. The feet was something I really wanted to fix. You could see the triangle, the way they were built is super unstable. So I definitely wanted to fix that. Didn't allow for much stability. I also wanted to add stability on the edge of the benches, so in case students sat, they wouldn't just like totally topple the whole thing. The ground where the benches were also on level, so I wanted to fix that too. You can see the imprints of the benches there already, so I wanted to clean that up a bit. So that's the building process. My troop and a bunch of my family members, you can see in the picture, were super kind to help me out. I did shifts Saturday and Sunday, so everyone came and helped. It was great. I wouldn't have been able to complete my project without them. It was beautiful weather. I got incredibly lucky because I think the whole week before my project it was like super rainy, so I got like incredibly lucky with this. Like both days were probably like in the 90s, I think, so it was a little hot, but it was perfect for this. I provided donuts and pizza, super important factor in it, obviously. you can't do anything without food, right? That's the after. That's the benches now. We attached feet to the bottom of both benches to provide stability. Allowed the students to sit anywhere on the benches. We also attached like backrests, which you can see there. It allowed the students to sit more comfortably and safely. We also leveled the ground, which also gave more stability for the benches. So I did drawings for this. It was like totally copy and paste. It was like exactly I imagined, and I think they look great now. So we also kind of sanded them a bit too because they're a little roughed, but they look really great.
Sorry, I jumped the gun.
You're fine, don't worry about it. And then those 2 went behind the gym and went behind the track because we wanted to build 3. So those are the brand new picnic tables for them to enjoy, snack, and relax. We sanded and stained all 3 of the tables to ensure safety from splinters. My sister Eliana attends that school, and I was super excited to hear how the students liked it. And she came home and she was like, everyone was like, yeah, so everyone was like, whoa, what are these benches from? And Eliana was like, yeah, my sister made those. I was like, wow, that was me. So it was really fun to hear back from her about everyone enjoying them. So I think they look really great. So
It was hard to wait. We had to wait 3 days.
yeah, we're the stain to
She's
finish.
like,
I was
you can't
like,
sit on them. They're like, what?
Yeah.
That was
The kids
fun.
just staring.
Don't sit on them.
Yeah, so yeah, it's one more slide. Thank you for listening. Any questions?
Kevin, can you just kind of explain the Eagle, like the project, like who does it, who does the work, who's in charge, who does the building?
So me, actually. So I went in front of the Eagle board. I presented my project to them because you have to get it approved. You have to get it approved. So I planned the entire thing, the fundraising, the emailing, talking to Ms. Fowler, calling, anything, going to Home Depot. I didn't drive, my dad did, but I can drive. So everything I planned myself. This was definitely a big step for me. When I first started Scouts as a freshman in high school, I was definitely not as, I probably couldn't do this now, talking in front of you guys. Scouts definitely helped me leadership with my confidence. It helped me grow as a person immensely, especially my Eagle project. It was big steps, reaching out to Home Depot and talking to adults. Not a lot of people know how to do that, especially teens our age. We're always on our phones and stuff. So this was definitely something I took a lot of pride in, and I'm really proud of my work. So
Thank you for
Yeah.
this.
Thank you.
And I'm honored you chose the upper elementary school. Thank you.
Okay.
What, you're not gonna stay and listen to all the budget?
I'm sure it's very important information, but we're gonna maybe get some dinner.
Yes.
Dinner,
Have a great
yes.
dinner.
Thank
Thank you again.
Thank you
Good
very
job.
much.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Michaela.
Oh, yes.
This is yours.
That's mine. Those are mine.
Oh, that's not mine. Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Thank you guys so much.
Bye.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
everyone. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay. Moving on to our discussion of revenue and expenses.
Donna?
Okay, in your packet is a revenue expense report as of 5/26/2023. There's not been a huge amount of change from the last report in March. The big difference is we were able to reduce some more POs and encumbrances where we near the end of the year. Some of the encumbrances we reduced included salaries for substitutes and some personal care differentials. The revenue is expected to be about 91,000 above what the budget was. This, along with the savings and expenses, leaves us with an unreserved fund balance of $452,704. Once we fund the trusts that were approved by the voters for the FY24 budget, which would be the school building maintenance, the SAU building trust, and the special ed trust, along with the retained fund balance of $180,000, it leaves us with a projected fund balance of $128,734. In our packet is also a memo from Kelly, which Andy will touch on later, but it discusses the 3 items that were cut from the FY24 budget due to guidance, and those being the interactive flat panels, the audio systems, and the Hughes furniture. So if these purchases are approved by the board, the new projected fund balance would be $94,734 at this time. The budget was submitted to the voters with a commitment to return $100,000 to the taxpayers to reduce the FY23 tax rate. So this would be the intent, barring any unforeseen expenses in June, which we try to avoid.
Any questions on the expense and revenue?
Yeah, I apologize for not being clear on this, but if we're making these purchases, we end up with $94,734, where does the $100,000 that return to taxpayers come from?
Well, we're under right now, but the fact that we have one more month can possibly and hopefully unencumber more funds.
So it's kind of,
Yeah,
as
right
long
on,
as
right
there
on the
isn't
cusp.
anything.
And I
okay.
think Kelly's suggestion was try to go in order of, if we have enough money, let's do the flat panels first, then do the audio system. And,
Gotcha. Okay, thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
I want to remind or instruct, if that's all right, that the warrant articles always say up to. We're not held to those numbers for the contributions to the trust funds, so that if we wanted to make lesser contributions because something came up, that we didn't quite make it to the 100,000, if we stuck to the up to amounts of the warrant articles, we could decide to return the 100,000 and reduce the contributions to the trusts if that's what we chose to do for any particular reason. I know I've been at this a long time, I still forget. At what point do we decide that the accounts are more or less closed? Is it June 30th? So that we know what dollars we really have. Because I know that we have accounts payable that leak into the following year just by the nature of billing cycles and by the nature of projects that have to be.
It kind of flows a little into July because all the
Right.
invoices haven't come in and everything, but typically by August, when the auditors are there, we are like,
We feel like
Yeah.
our numbers
There
are
is-
solid and we
yeah.
can.
Yeah, I would say our numbers are pretty solid right now, because all the accounts that we control are taken care of. I feel very confident we can reach the 100,000,
Right.
because we've always tried to return what we said we would. But at the same time, if we were in that ballpark, I would just delay the Hughes furniture, because all 3 of those items would have just been delayed to the FY, what would be 26 budget. 25, yeah. So I'm very pleased where we're at, because we're funding all the commitments that the voters approved. We're able to get those couple pieces, especially the interactive flat panels, because that was a kind of a request of the board after we did the panels prior to the new board members coming on. And then the audio systems are being phased in anyways, so just getting us ahead on that will be a good thing.
I think in all the years I've served, we've typically found that the final dollar amount has been a little, Kelly is incredibly conservative about
Exactly.
her expectations
Right.
for expenditures.
Okay. Anything else on the revenue and expense report?
I have another question. it won't stick in my brain, and I think it's because I've never seen it, but those are famous last words. If you look at the revenue chart, the accounts page, at the bottom of that main chart, you see total expense balance, 153, and then it says to food service unreserved fund balance. And then parenthetically, which typically for a loss, 88,882. This is on the revenue side. So could you please explain the food service unreserved fund balance? Because honestly, I don't recall a food service unreserved fund balance.
Basically, that is, whatever revenue we have from the grants and the revenue from the food service sales, whether it be state, federal, and local, it has to offset the transfer amounts from your expenses
Mhm.
at the top. So you would take in the excess budget column, you would look, if you look at the food service, 1,520, each food service and grant amount, you have to zero it out from the, expense as well, and that's what that number is. And it basically goes back to the food service.
It's an accounting transaction.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's
It's
what
a
it is.
transfer
That's
of
really,
funds.
it's just,
I've just never seen that line before, or at least I don't recall it. And,
We
I
don't
did-
put it through all year, I don't think, but towards the end of the year is when we do put it in.
okay. And the amount in parentheses is not telling us that we are in the red, 88,000 plus dollars.
No.
Okay, I just want to ensure.
We just have to get it off of we show it in the charts, and then we're just trying to get it out of that, out of our bottom line number.
Tammy, if you look, it's the 1520 plus 41,992.
I'm sorry, where are you, Gina?
In this chart over here, anything that says food,
Yep.
so 1520 food service, and then
Are we looking at the
41,990.
same thing? I'm so sorry, hold on.
The revenue,
There's a
You're on the
food
revenue
service in
page.
each of them, so on the revenue under
You're looking at
state.
the revenue side, right?
Yes.
in the last column, in excess of budget.
Where's 15?
1,520.
Sorry.
The state.
I'm not
food-
looking at the right page, that's the problem. Hold
Food
on,
services.
hold on. I hope I'm in the right document.
You were in the right place, I think.
What are you
It's,
looking
it's
at?
the chart that had
State,
the
federal, and
food,
local, it says food service, food service.
it's the one where you saw the food service
I'm
unreserved
actually
fund
not looking
balance,
at
it's
the
that
right
chart.
page. You know what? I'm not seeing what you're seeing. There's something, I'm not looking at the right thing. All right, why don't I
Can you
let this
show
go?
us again?
Because you guys are seeing. I mean, I'm
You
look-
had the right number of that 88,000,
I
it's
know,
on that
that's
page.
why I'm puzzled by
Then
what
it-
it is I'm looking at. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Ann? Hold on, revenue, right?
This is where I am right now. I have a hard copy of what you have. That's the number you saw,
Yeah.
and I think these are the food service.
So where are you seeing 15,000 anything?
So 1,520.
1,520.
Now I know what you're talking about. I beg your pardon. I'm so sorry to have wasted your time. Okay, please go ahead. So so under state, food service, 2,500, year-to-date revenue, 4,000, there's nothing under expected, and we have a budget, excess of 1,520.
right.
And this is on the revenue side. Right, and then on federal, the food service line item ends up with an excess of 41,992.
Correct.
These are revenue excesses.
Yes.
Right.
And so you have to food service unreserved fund balance, 88,882 at the bottom. As a simple accounting measure, I took my
Correct.
accounting for a year, so I have an idea of what you mean. But what is an food service unreserved fund balance? Are you just saying that this money is going into the unreserved fund?
The food service accounts are accounts that are really reviewed and audited by the DOE. So,
Sure.
like, as you know from the facilities committee, we had money from COVID. Because all the meals were free, that money still came in. So that money went into this unreserved fund balance, and now the state has told us we now need to spend that down because it's generated too much revenue
Right.
off the federal free and reduced lunch program. So that's where it goes, and this is the accounting mechanism to allow that to be placed in the food service account.
So we're putting 88,882 of excess we didn't have any control over. It just.
Well, it's not
Just-
gonna, I'll say, be that significant excess because it'll be reduced by the grants themselves,
Okay.
okay?
So the grants will be dropping, post-COVID, post all that, and that's how all this works itself out over the next couple of years. It's just a,
Yep.
okay, that's what I wasn't catching on to. Thank you.
Okay, if that's it on the revenue and expense report, we will move on to the public hearing. Can I have a motion to recess until the conclusion of the public hearing?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Okay. In your board packet, as posted for the Hollis School District Expendable Trust public hearing, first of all, the background, Principals Paula Hispicki and Candy Fowler identified several needed repairs improvements for their respective buildings during the budget process. At the budget hearing for FY24, the Hollis Budget Committee recommended, along with the Hollis School Board, that the funding source for these particular items be the Hollis School Board Building Expendable Trust. So the following items were approved during the budget process. At Hughes, we have a transfer switch for Rocky Pond for $10,000. We have a hot water pump for the first floor for $10,000, and we have classroom flooring for $30,000 for a Hughes subtotal of $50,000. At HPS, we have a Univents rebuild phase 1 at $25,000. We have exterior doors for $15,000, and again, classroom flooring for $30,000, which gives us a HPS subtotal of $70,000. These are the items we told the voters would be purchasing with the expendable trust. So this hearing is to, again, inform the voters of that, and then during deliberations tonight, we'll actually do the formal approval so that Kelly can move forward in making that transfer from the trust to the operating and purchase those items. Kelly also always tries to provide you with the update on the various trust status. So you have the Hollis School Building Expendable Trust, which has a current available balance of $247,771. We were adding $95,000 in FY24. We have $120,000 in expenses that we're talking about tonight. So we anticipate an ending balance of $222,771. That money is in the trust. If something were to go wrong during the school year, unexpectedly for something, we would come back to the board. As always, we would try to do the repair or whatever was needed through the operating budget first. And then if we could not do that, we would come back to the expendable trust fund. The SAU Building Expendable Trust, which is overseen by the Hollis School District because they own the building. Right now, we are using a tiny room for a conference room, and we're looking at potentially alternatives that are cost-effective regarding a portable unit. The ideal solution will be the purchase of a portable unit, but we will also look at an annual lease if the cost is a better solution. We've just begun our research, so we're not asking for action, but we did want to make you aware of the current balance of $91,450. $23,970 would be added, and the first, I'll call it ballpark estimate we have, if we were to purchase something, would be around $37,000. But we'd come back and post a formal public hearing if we were going to move forward in that direction. For new board members, $23,970 is the rental payments of the 3 districts for the SAU. So we accrue rent every year. That rent is put into the SAU Maintenance Trust for the repair of the building. We also have a Hollis School District Water System Expendable Trust. A lot of people don't know that I also run the water department.
Very well.
His resume is very long.
Yeah. The schools are supplying water for both of their buildings, most of the historic district, and the middle school. So that means that we oversee all the water testing, lead testing, anything you can think of is done monthly. That goes to our department. About 3 years ago, we started an expendable trust. That balance is at $41,255. We didn't suggest any additions. And we will anticipate an ending balance of $41,255. What we typically will use the expendable trust that we have regarding water is to periodically get the system reviewed. You know, piping, valves, all of that, more bringing a company in. If we see areas that need significant improvement, then we would do a trust warrant article for the water system. But it remains in really good condition, and it, like I said, is tested on a monthly basis, and it just comes back. Rocky Pond is a very good well. And then lastly, we have a Hollis School District Special Education Expendable Trust. The current balance is $77,154. Would be adding $25,000 to that for an anticipated balance of $103.79. That trust is intended to be used for expenses that were unforeseen when we did the budget. We do the budget about 18 months in advance, so if this summer a child moved in and with them came some significant special ed expenses, again, the first piece we try to do is go to the operating budget. We look at the contingency fund, the different avenues that we have, and then ultimately, if we had to, we would come back to the expendable trust. So that's kind of an overview of the school district trust and the remaining trusts that are available to the school board. And I'd be happy to take any questions, and then we can get any input from the public.
Have we used any of the special education expendable trust?
I don't believe we have.
Because I felt like we were adding it in $25,000 increments, so I was surprised to see that the beginning balance was $77,154.
So it seems it's earning money or something.
Interest or
Oh,
something?
interesting.
That could be, and I
Oh.
did kind of go with you and didn't have an opportunity to ask Kelly today, because we have done all increments of 25,000.
Yeah.
And it's been a long time since we had any interest earned on any money. So I will check on that and come back with an answer. Yeah.
You're like, check out that 2100.
Well,
Or it could have been in one of those up to 25,000, maybe.
And we didn't quite have 25.
Could have been,
Could
Yeah,
have.
maybe, yeah.
No, this is our 4th year, so it should be $100,000 going in.
Yeah.
So I think it's interest earned or something like that.
Yeah, I will check into that.
Cool.
So the hearing is really for the public to comment.
Correct.
I don't see
Does the board have any questions or comments?
That was my one
No.
question.
Well, since you're, oh, please.
Does it have to be just about the water?
This one would be on the maintenance trust.
Then no.
Okay. We'll have public comment on the rest of the agenda shortly.
When we resume
Can
the
the
meeting.
public comment on any of the trusts that have been reported during this hearing?
They were.
Or just the maintenance
The
trust?
maintenance trust was posted, but we'd be happy to take any questions on any of them.
Yeah.
I'm good.
I know it's a hearing and we're really not in a discussion phase. When we started this special ed expendable trust, 25,000 sounded like a small but meaningful amount of money, and costs have escalated so much over the past 4 years. And I hope that we would consider for the next warrant a larger contribution to this fund, because I'm really, it's as if we're getting behind, even on the small amount that we were trying to just hold in reserve, so.
I would say the one difference between Hollis and, say, Brookline and the co-op is you have the contingency fund and they do not. So their balances are closer to, say, 250.
Right.
But yours is not that far off if you look at the contingency fund and the special ed fund. But I don't disagree with you. If we had an unreserved fund balance, maybe we do the up to number that is closer to, say, 40 or 50,000 next year, and list that last, which will probably allow us to get to at least to 25.
Because I'll be honest, Andy, if we had a significant case, a student who had a catastrophic illness that resulted in a special education designation, and that somehow created a really substantial disability, it wouldn't just be, say, an out-of-district placement or something like that. We would have to hire multiple staff members. It could be, I'm just saying that costs have escalated
Oh,
in
yeah.
everything so much that $100,000 might not even cover, a one-on-one, you know what I'm talking,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm spitting it all out, stuttering, but
Say something extreme like that were to happen, could we not apply for some sort of a grant or aid from the state?
You can, there is special ed aid. The problem with special ed aid is you apply, after you pay, you apply, and then you see it 18 months later.
As a
So it doesn't do,
reimbursement, yeah.
so it crushes your existing budget, but then there are some reimbursements, and it's a small percentage. So that's why we've created this avenue, the contingency, a number of pathways, so that you don't have to overrun the budget and have a special meeting to request additional funds.
It's almost become the rule that an out-of-district placement is gonna be about $200,000 and could be as costly as $500,000 depending on the child's needs.
Has that happened yet? Or we just know of it happening?
Not in the middle of the
Well,
school
we
year.
have students who are placed, it's when somebody shows up that we weren't able to budget for.
Gotcha.
So when we do the budget, we specifically, from a special ed standpoint, go child by child and come up with I'm gonna call it a cost for all of their services, which speech, OT, could be nursing, it could be a host of issues. And we can capture that, but to Gina's point, we have to survive until we can get to that next budgeting season. So that's where the special ed trust and the contingency fund come in.
Okay. I'm not seeing any public comment. So at this point, I am going to declare the public hearing closed at 6:36. Okay, and we are going to reconvene into our regular business meeting. Okay, next up on the agenda is public input. It took me a second, sorry about that.
I know you've been waiting.
I know we're all like paused.
Sorry.
Well, first, Susan Carlin Giles, 44 Forest View Drive, Hollis, New Hampshire. And Andy, my house is not far away from the school. Could I get on that water system?
We'll do a feasibility study.
That would be great. I'm so tired of hard water in my well. Not to pay any disrespect to any of the school board meetings, but two of my favorite are the beginning of the year meeting, where the administration kind of sets the goals for the year and sets their vision, and it really gets my head in the game for the year. And then this meeting, where you get to hear all the wonderful things, because when you're living the day-to-day, sometimes you just lose sight sometimes of all the great things that are happening. But as a resident, I just wanted to come up and thank the board for all the countless hours you've put into this school year, past school years. I know the meetings are just a small portion of what you do. I know you're giving up time you could be spending with family, friends, other interests. And as a resident of the town, it's just, I'm just so grateful because the schools help make the community. So thank you. Don't trip.
Yeah, don't trip.
Thank you. Okay, the end of the year presentation.
Do you want to technically close public input?
7:06 would be the close.
Oh, okay.
We started at 6:36.
Got it.
Oh, okay. Oh, here.
Yes. I wanted to try to see all
Yeah.
Notice we put the fun starts here.
Yeah.
In case you forgot.
So, thank you, everybody, for giving us the floor here to kind of show off all the awesome things that have happened this year. We actually wanted to start off with everything that was completed over the past year, because we talked last year about all the things that we were looking forward to happening, and we are so happy that all of these things got completed. So thanks to our community and everybody who voted to make all these wonderful things happen. We had door replacement here at HPS. We had our second grade flooring and our staff room get done, which was awesome because there were parts of the floor that looked like
I think we call it like dinosaurs were coming up from underneath. We just were, it was so needed. And we're happy to be able to continue that up into third grade next year. Our abatement project was completed, which was huge and I think just comforting to a lot of people who work here. And then very happily, our food diversion program is in place and it is going amazing. I can't thank Tara Happy enough. I don't know if you have ever seen it, and I would invite you to come in and see it, but during lunch, our kiddos are separating everything on their own. Everything's out there. She's just taught them how to do it. They separate everything on their own, and Tara is there at every lunch, and she is moving everything out to the our little buckets that we have out there that come and get picked up, and it has been amazing, and the students are so into it and they have really owned it, and you don't even have to tell them what to do. They know what to do. And she had our third graders teach our second graders, teach our first graders, and we were like, all right, we're going for the kindergartners. And they're doing it. They are separating every little thing that they can, and when I'm down in lunch and I'm not sure where things go, they teach me where it goes, and because sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know, but there's even little pictures of things and they have them on the trash can, and it's just been amazing, and we are at zero food waste. We are down to nothing, and it's just amazing, but a lot of that is just her time and want to do that, but it's also bleeding that ownership over to the kids, which I think is amazing at our age. Do you want to talk about your things, or okay?
So at the upper elementary school, we also are working on the food diversion program. Our sixth graders started doing that and came down and taught the fifth graders and the fourth graders. I think one of the things that the kids are most impressed with is the food sharing fridge, because if you don't like your applesauce, it used to just go in the trash. Now it goes in the food sharing fridge, and anyone at any time can walk by and grab snacks out of the refrigerator. So there's cheese sticks in there, sometimes there's milks in there, there's apples or applesauce, and kids who are hungry and just want something extra, they can come in at any time, and it's really just this great thing that are going back and forth. Yes, they do like that they're keeping the food out of the trash can. And I know that we're making progress. When some students were eating in my office and they said, we can't throw our trash away here. We have to go put our food in the food diversion program. So that was really fun for me to see. And we no longer have 1970s flooring in the cafeteria or the hallways, and we're excited to look forward at what else is happening.
Do you want me to click it?
Yeah, it's just not too far away. Okay.
And on to the summer plans, which I just got done telling all of our staff today at our staff meeting. So there's a lot going on here at HPS, as seems to be the yearly thing, which is wonderful because we always come back to some really cool and new things, and it, it does make the value and your worth seem a little bit better when you're coming into a nice building like this. So we are finishing our flooring in the third grade area, which was our next stop. All of the student bathrooms are going to be completed over the summer. It is a tight schedule. Our staff is being very good sports by really getting everything ready and cleaned up because we have to get packed and ready to go. We do have bathrooms starting next week, but we have talked very closely with Turnstone, I think it is. I've been meeting with them, and we talked very clearly on what the expectations are, when it's going to be put off, and when it will be accessible. And we got the second grade teachers on board. The students do have bathrooms to access, but we are having a little area of the school that will be blocked off during the day for that week. But we are all set to go, and everybody's in a good place there. We are excited about the kitchen that is going to be redone, and even more excited about the parking lot painting that's going to happen. So that'll look nice and pretty too back in the summer. Of course, there's lots of odds and ends that are going on. I mean, we're constantly cleaning. We have a couple shuffles of, due to our enrollment in our new second grade classroom, of people that will have to be packed up and moved to a different room. But we are making sure that we're trying to make sure that everybody has the space. It is getting a little more difficult as enrollment gets bigger, to find the space for not only just the teaching and the space to do that, but the space to have the things that we need to do the teaching. So constant contact with the SAU about all of that stuff. So we just continue to, making the best of what we have. And we are going to, throughout the summer, I typically send out weekly, bi-weekly notices, every other week notices to families and to staff members just to update them on what's going on, send out a few pictures, so everybody should get an update of what's going on and how everything is progressing along throughout the summer.
And you can see from the map, I'm very excited about our flooring plans. I have a 4-year plan to get the flooring done at the upper elementary school. This year, we're going to be doing the rest of the upper level. We did you can see in orange what we did last year, what we're going to be doing this year, and as we move on. Air Handler 3, which I've probably said for 3 or 4 years now. I think it's going to happen this year, right, Andy?
Yep.
So that will be.
I certainly hope so.
You might be seeing it on my list again for next year.
Yeah.
And
No.
oh, no, it's gonna happen. And we also are looking at the parking lot painting. It's really tricky at the upper elementary school. People do want to kind of cut the line on Drury Lane and go up the wrong way and into our parking lot when they don't want to wait for the buses and the hundreds of cars. And so we've been working with our SRO to figure out what kind of signage, or can have a big stop sign somewhere or the wrong way. Not that they'll watch that. So we're looking at that, and we might even be piloting some different things to maybe slow down traffic on that. It's just when it's a dead end, it backs up a lot here. So my envision is maybe we'll have like a sky bridge that goes over the upper elementary school out to Rocky Pond. But Donna, do we have money for that?
Air Handler 3.
Air Handler 3. Air Handler 3. Yes. Yep. And we have switched to the playground rubber mulch,
great.
which the kids love and don't love. You can't go as fast on the rubbery surface, but it spreads out all over. So every year we really need to replace it, and we're trying to maintain however many inches. So that will be something that's an expense, but it's a really good one to make sure that we're all safe up there. All right, ready to move to the next one, please, Ms. Roy. Now we're going to switch into some data for you.
So we wanted to throw in a little bit of data in academics to show what we've been doing this year. And these graphs show our students who have progressed and met their goals as far as AIMSweb is concerned. So this is per grade level. This is their spring assessments. And what we are looking at is what we should be looking at is exactly what we see, is that red and yellow getting smaller as we go up throughout the grades. Our goal is to move kids forward and to make sure that they're progressing. This is one piece of our pie that we look at to make sure that kids are making progress, but we want to make sure that they're moving in that direction. So we feel very excited about our kids being able to make progress. When you have kids who aren't making progress or kids who hit, that's where we have our supports in place, but we also have our RTI process that is in place, and I've spoken about that before, but we are constantly in conversation about that. One of the things that people typically will look at is the yellow and red in first grade compared to kindergarten, and why haven't they moved up, and things like that. There's obviously there's variables that happen. Sometimes it's just the kiddos that we have and whatnot, but we do get a lot of new students in first grade where we are starting at a different level than if they came from our kindergarten. We're not really able to track them before that, and that sometimes has an impact on our data. If you go to the next slide, Clara, there is our math data, which looks even prettier. But again, this is our data that shows, and down below you'll see the actual numbers of students. If you see tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. Tier 3 is the red, 2 is the yellow, and 1 is the green. But this is, again, one piece of our data, but it's just something that we are able to look at to make sure that we're moving in the right direction. And of course, there's always reflection and thinking about how we can continue to do this, what we need to improve upon, and what we need to do for our students. And when we are looking at those students in the yellow and the students in the red, it's really, what do we need to change to meet that child's needs there to help them get to that. And oftentimes, even though they're there, they're still making progress. And I think that that's what we pride ourselves on the most, is that as long as we're taking step forwards, we're moving in the right direction.
So this is the same Ames Web data that you see for the upper elementary school in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. And it's really about students achieving their performance targets. So all of the students in the green have achieved their performance targets for spring from fall to spring. Looking at the red and yellow, it's really, really tiny at the upper elementary school, which, kudos to everyone at the primary for getting all those early intervention, either their RTI services or special ed services, whatever students need, 504, because by the time they're coming up to the upper, we're really seeing kids making amazing growth on their grade level. So that's reading, and Carol, if you move over to math, you'll see in math that we have, some of those same types of things. And just like at the primary school, we're looking at those students who are in the yellow for tier 2 and tier 3. Who are they? What do they need? What is happening in their programming to help them continue to meet their targets? So very proud of the work that our teachers are doing. All right, so you can go ahead and. So this is a little bit for both of us, right? Talking about the physical and emotional safety. We do talk a lot about academics, and we just want to make sure that everyone is fully focused on there's a lot more to school than just walking in and doing well on a test. That physical and emotional well-being is important. We are very focused on our drills that we do at both of our schools. We have safety committees who help us figure out where can we throw the wrench in the drill this time, right? How do we practice it, not just in the same old way? How do we cognitively get all of our teachers understanding it's a dynamic response? Even though a fire might be a fire, it's never the same thing, right, each time, or whatever we would have to do for our buildings. Looking at switching over to building committees, if you want to talk about, or keep talking about safety.
Yeah. I think one of the things to understand is that there's so many different tiers of physical and emotional safety that go on, whether we're looking at it from this big umbrella, whether it's from a classroom perspective, front office perspective. We're always making sure that we are receiving feedback and then making changes to go forward. Our building committees meet every month, and we review all the drills and everything that goes with it. We try new drills. We always prepare our students appropriately at grade level for anything that is needed. This year we tried we did a lockdown drill, but there were some kids that decided to do it at a recess when kids were outside so they would know what to do, and those kids had areas where they needed to go to, and I told everybody, we're going to follow through, we're going to come unlock your door because that is how you get out of the drill. And so we went to go do that, and I was outside running, and I ran, and I was like, where are they? I was running up Drury Lane, and I was like, so they were really good. They were really good. They listened to the teacher, they followed the directions, and then they saw me, and I was like, all right, you guys are good to go. And then the other class had gone in the other direction towards the SAU building, and I was running back over to get them, and I was like, and so I just went over the walkie, and I said, Miss, you guys are okay to come out. And they wouldn't come out. They wouldn't come out until I got there, and I was just like, I'm really just tired. I just ran up the hill and I ran over there. But they really listened, and I know that it's like, it was hilarious because I was running back and forth, but we just instill in them that this is how things are supposed to be done, and even though you have the option to make those decisions as needed, here are some things that we have to stick to. And I did commend all those teachers because I was like, yeah, you did it. Like, you just did not. And I could not see where they were. They just did it so well. So after that, students may have questions and whatnot. I make sure, I put it out in the weekly announcements, notify parents of things that are going on. And then sometimes we have kids who do get a little nervous or upset, and our counselor will take them, they'll call parents, we'll get involved in that way if we need to. There's always a ton of resources, and then of course, as administrators, we collaborate over that all the time, whether it's at our SAU wide or within our buildings.
Yeah, talking to each other, and I'll say that we also did an avoid lockdown. So you can avoid the situation by getting out, you can defend, or you can deny entrance and defend. And so we just put it for the older students, we're gonna do an avoid lockdown. It was already planned, and it was really just like, where do you find that spot if there's a fire at your house, right? Where's your meeting spot? And that's what we wanted to do for all of our students. And they knew nothing bad was happening, but it's really just, where do you go? How do you get out? And do you follow your teacher, right? So they're used to following us, but in a real situation, we're gonna want our kids to get out and avoid and know where to go that's safe, because the teacher is probably gonna be the last one out. So kind of working differently developmentally for the students as we kind of transition up to a little bigger kids. So it's not something that we think is super fun. We don't really want to do all of this, but we think it's really great for us to have teachers who are empowered to know what to do in any situation, and it's really important. So we're going to continue to be focusing on that safety, emotional and physical safety, and you might see some of that in upcoming budgets on things that we've thought about.
I just want to say one of the additional, although we have, we talk about drills and all the drills we have to do, it's not our everyday focus. I mean, kids are here learning and having a good time, but are those emotional things that we do that are just really, really cool. And I have to just acknowledge the picture of Delta Dental when we had the dogs in, and the kids just learned about why those dogs are trained, what they do. They got to see a little demonstration, and the kids had an option of whether they wanted to or not to pet the dog. But it was one of the happiest days for all the kids in the school. I can't even tell you watching them go by, but it was just, it was a little comfort to them to see that. And it was just really cool for them to understand why people in our community or people outside of our community might have a dog like that. So there's always the balance with, doing those drills that seem a little heavy, and then that emotional safety of, here are some really good things that can make us feel good, and how do we deal with that, and the different avenues that we can go to make us feel better.
Next one, sure. Thank you. Next slide. Yes, next slide. So we're going to talk a little bit about that cultural awareness. I know that came up at one of our last school board meetings, and really from that discussion, maybe thinking not everyone knows all the things that we're doing around cultural awareness and building those in our schools. So you see the bottom picture is all the cultural flags that we have in our cafeteria as we're trying to make it a world cafe. I often get asked, how did you pick those flags? I didn't pick them. The students gave me countries that they wanted to see, and I took the ones that had the most votes, and in a few years we'll do it again and change the flags around, and we have where they are in the world, what the country is on, so that kids can see. It's really small in that picture, but you can go in and have that. But we're also incorporating books and read-alouds from various ethnicities and cultures. Our building classroom libraries are culturally rich. We are very open to learning from peers when they're willing to share their heritage, and embracing that for each of the families and the students as they find developmentally appropriate what they want to. And sometimes at the upper elementary school, kids are like, no, don't talk about me. And other times they're like, yes, learn all about me. So we're trying to honor that. We look at current events. We definitely have Brain Pop, Mystery Science, Scholastic News, bringing those things up where we can have some of that cognitive discord, right? This is what some people might believe. This is what other people might believe. There's no real right or wrong way. It's okay to start looking at lots of ways that the world operates, and that it's not just this small area. And we look at our community connections. The VFW is an amazing asset to our schools, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. We have Delta Dog right here in Hollis. We have so many students who want to do food drives or something to make their community a better place. They want to change the world, and how do we start helping them do that? We have artists in residence that have been supported through the PTA in past years. We have historical perspectives that come in and teach the kids through art, right, and their own body, how a person might change over time. We have Ben Franklin up at the elementary school. What do you have at the primary? You had someone. It was just from the team.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yeah, really kind of doing those those things. Yeah. And bringing that in. Did you want to talk about?
Kind of covered it all, but yeah, I think, you know, down here it is often led by the students and their interests and what they want to learn about, and they often will notice something is new to them and they want to share and talk about it. Our library has been so rich in diversity and being able to read books about different, you know, scientists and things like that. Oftentimes you'll see in like Math Week or something like that, and I point to Susan because she often does it, where we just bring out different mathematicians and just how people get to their avenue in life through different ways as well. So I think it's just something that we embed in our teaching, and it's just something that we do every day. So to be able to kind of pick it out and share that with you is a nice way to highlight.
Go ahead. Thanks, Carol. There you go.
All right. So we wanted to bring a little bit of fun out to everybody, and my video will be on the next slide. There is lots of outdoor fun that happens at HPS. So as you know, we do some snowshoeing, and thank you to, again, Mrs. Happy and our volunteers who help get those snowshoes on and off the kids, which takes a lot of time for us to get out there. But when the snow comes, we are like ready to go and out there, which is amazing. They just absolutely love it. We are out at recess, we are out at PE, we are outside. We just like to be outside, and we want to make our kids love to be outside. So I think we have done a really good job at making outside fun and wonderful. The other day at Carpool, we had a big toad out, and we were like letting all the kids, you know, they were so... We were like, he's not moving, but we couldn't get him, and I was calling Mrs. Happy to come get him because I wasn't going to pick him up. But he was, you know, all the kids were very respectful of making sure that this little guy was okay, and she did come to the rescue and put him back out there. But I think one of the things that we value a lot here is outdoors, and we are little kids here, and we need to get out, we need to get dirty, and that's the way it needs to be. So wanted to highlight that, you know, we still value outdoors. The next slide is a little bit of the indoor fun, and I have a video that will be coming up. But one of the things that was really great this year, our Mrs. O'Brien, our art teacher, and Mrs. Prue, our librarian, did a night of art and book club, and it was just amazing. It was under the sea. It was all in. It was all. What's the word?
Rainforest.
What am I doing?
Black lights.
It was black lights. I'm sorry. Rainforest, and it was black lights. It was under the sea last year, every single child had a piece of work in there, and it was just a really great culmination of an activity for this year. It was really cool, and they plan to do it next year, maybe even expand upon it. But before you play this video, it's a very short, quick, like 9-second video, but I wanted to share this video because these are the things that we do in school. This is a culminating activity in PE, and it's for one of the fine motor skills, but the kids are they're playing bowling, and Mr. Precourt decided to make it glow bowling, and so there's music playing, there's LED lights on the floor, and there is a strike club, and I couldn't have gone in there and videotaped at a more perfect time, as you'll see, but this video just shows so much. I wish I could point out everything that it shows, but these are the things that we do for kids in school, and this is how they feel when they succeed. So here's the little bit clip.
Strike club.
So, yeah, right? She got a strike, and her friends couldn't be more happy for her, right? So it's just one of those things that, whether it's succeeding in math or reading or in bowling, they are just truly really happy for each other. And I think that those are just, like I said, I couldn't have picked a better time to go in and pop on a videotape. So we have lots of fun inside and outside of school, but that's what learning is supposed to be. Lots of fun.
Thanks. That black light thing was incredible.
Mrs. O'Brien, yeah, yeah. Very fun.
Was that in the art room?
Yep.
Yep.
You're gonna. Yeah, it was during the art show. We have no idea
So-
until you walk in. We're like,
Let's start with some of the inside fun at Hughes. First time this year, we decided instead of going with the traditional DARE t-shirt for DARE graduation, someone came up with the idea like, hey, wouldn't it be fun to have the kids design the t-shirts? You never know what you get when that's, put it out there. We did have some things that couldn't happen. We couldn't use certain logos, right? Anything copyrighted. But the making good choices and keeping it real are what we talk about in DARE. And we had 3 students come up with these designs, and we were able to incorporate all of them. And the PTA supported us creating our own T-shirts this year. So that was really an amazing piece. We have, a sensory walkway where we're working on getting our wiggles out. Even though we're big, we still have a lot of wiggles that we do need to get out. And what you see is my very much inspirational hopscotch for kids at the end, just reminding them of all the things and all that they are. And sometimes they don't always feel that way. So I want them to know every day that they really matter and they are brave and loved and kind and able and bold and important to us. We also try to challenge our students through helping them have some academic challenges like the geography bee or the spelling bee, things like they think they can't do, they think it's too hard, and just trying it and making sure that it can be a friendly competition while also challenging your minds. And then how do I help our students make the world a better place? How do I instill on them the idea of community? Because we have our Hughes community, but we also have a larger community. And I want them seeing me do things, I want them seeing their teachers do things that are important for the world. And one way that we do that is we've been working with Dr. Garber and doing holiday cards for troops. And that is one of the officers who comes down, and he loves to talk to students, so he made a special trip again down this year to work with students and just say thank you and share his story about how when he got a card, what that meant, and what they can do with their words to change the world. One of the things that we talked about last time, and I'll just bring the posters here because we are just getting it hot off the presses last time, was the Pennachuck Watershed contest. And this is really about changing globe, right, in their own state. How do you send the message? And kids were really shocked to say that, wow, not everybody has like the best water. We have to protect it. It's very different in cities than it is in Hollis, and putting in there. So we do have a few students. So if you want to get a little closer look, you're welcome to take a look at that poster board. So you can go to the next slide. And we also do believe in outdoor fun. So I want to thank the Hollis Conservation Commission for donating about 800 bulbs. If you had a chance to go up to the upper or even at the primary school, you saw all those bulbs that were blooming in the spring. That was from a lot of hard work for students who wanted to give up their recess to make the Hollis Upper Elementary School, the primary school, look prettier and kind of waiting. And so it was really interesting to hear, I think I planted that one. I think that's the spot where I was. I think those are mine, Mrs. Fowler. And, being amazing with that. We also try to use our talents for good. So we have an annual talent show, and that's put on by Karen Miller. And Bob Pooler is also the MC, so he works with all the MCs, and Karen Miller works with all the dance numbers. And we also expanded it to be a craft show, so if you didn't have a talent you wanted to show on the stage, you could sell your craft. And all of the money that we raised, we went to Delta Dog. And Delta Dog came in, they let us see the dog. We had a veteran who talked about how this dog changed his life and how important it was for this work to happen. Kids, you get 300 students in one spot, you could hear a pin drop when they were listening to him speak. It's just really amazing. We have a canine officer from Milford who brings Officer Mako, the German Shepherd there, and they do an outside presentation. So fourth graders will see that every year. It is really awesome to hear what they're asking about, like, how does the dog stay safe? What do we need to do, right? They're very concerned. I hear your love for the toad. I mean, I cannot step on crickets or spiders or ants. Like, Mrs. Fowler, what are you doing with that? We're going to catch it. So we do a lot of catching of things and taking them outside. And then, we did talk about the VFW. And one of the things that the upper elementary students love to do is talk to the veterans. You know, during our assemblies, they don't always get a chance to. So this year, Abby Donnelly, our media specialist, said, I have this great idea, Candy. What if we invite the veterans like an hour before the ceremony? I have some students who really want to talk to them and share their passion, right? And one of our students, Lucas, he has a passion for tanks. And he could tell you anything you want to know about really any tank. And he dedicated about a month's worth of recess drawing tanks, drawing airplanes, putting them in a timeline, and making sure that when the veterans came, he could give a presentation on these to them. And I'm just going to, you can pass it around if you want. It's really amazing. And it was so fun to see the veterans interacting with him. He stayed out for like an hour and a half. I'm like, you have to go to class, right? No, I'm going to eat lunch here. And he was really interacting. Even one of the veterans was like, can you give this afterwards? He said, I have pictures of one of these for Lucas. Can you send him that? And I did a write-up for him. Like, it was really amazing to see. So I wanted to share that. And when I told him I was bringing, he's like, you're really bringing it? Yeah, I'm really bringing it. And he saw me this morning. Don't forget. I was like, it's going in my car right now. It's really, he spent a very long time all on his own. No one asked him to, because he really wanted to make a difference. So thanks for letting us share that with you. Go ahead.
I just wanted to point out the value of that check for those of you who can't see it, because
yes.
I had to lean in. It was $4,000 that went to
$4,000.
Operation Delta Dog.
Yep. 4,000.
That was me over here.
And then just to end it with looking forward, because there's always good things going on. So I know the Upper already had their field day on the hottest day of the year. So I think we're going to go the opposite end and do the coldest. So
30 degrees colder.
30 degrees colder. So we'll see how that works out. But we have ours on Friday. And again, our new PE teacher, Mr. Precourt, has done an amazing job planning. Our PTA has helped out a ton. Everybody's like ready to go and excited to end the year on that good note. We have had our celebrations of learning. Classes have invited parents in to have their kids present, show, vet through all the things that they've learned this year. We have our third graders that are visiting up at Hughes on Monday. Is it Monday?
They're coming, yes, they're coming to see the band. And
Yeah,
they're visit classrooms.
they get a whole,
Yeah.
tour or a whole idea of what's going to go on there. Field trips. Candy has promotion going on. I'll let her talk about all of that stuff. As a staff, we close the year. We do a little luncheon for our teachers at the end of the year. We like to just get everybody together, recognize a couple people, and those who will be retiring and whatnot, welcoming in all the new people that will be coming, and sort of taking a deep breath and saying, look at what we've done this year. Having a staff meeting today with everybody, I said, we are, if you don't know what it's like at the end of the school year, especially in like a primary school, you are just repeating almost everything to get the kids to, they're just so excited and so energetic right now that, I need 5 more minutes, I need 5 more minutes of quiet, or, you're just repeating. So, we just take a deep breath at the end of each day and come back in with a smile the next day, because we know how excited they are. So we look forward to all of that stuff that's going on, and all the construction that's going to happen, and then being able to welcome, before we know it, we'll be back here sharing our goals for next year.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
At the Upper, it's more like, you what? You said what? What? You haven't done that all year. Yeah, that's what's happening. And they're, they're excited to go for summer. They're excited to go to the middle school and scared to go to the middle school at the same time. So there's lots of things going on with our 6th graders that make me just go, like, what? Just sit down. Let's just talk about this. Our celebration of learning is tomorrow. Promotion, I want to cordially invite the school board members, if you're able to, come on the 15th at 11:30 at the Upper Elementary School. It is always fun to find parking, but we have figured out a system after, this is my 20th year, and so last year we figured out how to get 400 cars parked up at the Upper. So we now utilize the field, and so we don't have to have people park at Silver Lake and take a bus anymore. And so if you're coming, please just send me a little email or let me know. I will reserve a seat in the front row, and we'll recognize you. If you don't want me to know, don't tell me. I won't recognize you. It's totally fine. It's a really fun, not formal celebration. This is not the most important thing they will do. But it is really an ending of elementary school, and we want to honor that and send them off with the best we can when they go to the co-op. We're going to have an award ceremony for 4th and 5th graders. We started doing this a few years ago, and if you are not at the promotion ceremony, you won't hear about SOAR awards. But SOAR awards are service-oriented activity reflections, where kids can put together a list of their community service hours, and after 3 years, if they have 30 hours, they'll get promoted with a gold seal on their certificate. And I keep track of them each year. And this year we have the absolute most SOAR awards from 4th and 5th graders that I've ever seen. Like, they're already getting their gold awards and they don't have to do. And it's just amazing to see. And I do ask for a reflection. How did doing this make you feel? And the things I get are very cute. One was like, well, it's kind of like giving up your free time for something good. It kind of made me feel good, you know, and just things like that. Or, you know, I really like to bake, and so I baked for my neighbor, and you wouldn't believe how happy they were to have fresh bread, or whatever, right? Just those little things that they are starting to see. You can do amazing things with small acts of kindness. And then, you know, I don't have to give an award for it, but I think they should be recognized. And there's a way for us to tie that all in together. So I'm really proud of that, of the work that they're doing. And then filling our open positions, which there aren't very many. So we're happy about that. Knock on wood. All right. And to end, we just want to, Paula and I, on behalf of all the staff, we want to just give you a little thank you gift for all the hard work that you're doing and helping us grow and keeping everything on track and coming to the meetings, even though you're busy with your own families. Thank you. So thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it. That's it. Questions?
What day and time is the award ceremony?
I'm sorry, what?
When is the award ceremony?
So the promotion ceremony is at 11:30 on the 15th. The award ceremony is closed. It's just for the elementary school. Yeah, it's not public. But it's going to be on Friday at probably 10. Get the kids together. Yeah.
Is that all?
Anything else? You want to hear more?
Is that all?
I have more, but you can keep it to like an hour for you.
So is the audience number?
Any questions or any
Questions, comments?
Well, I would like to ask you, now that we're in such a good mood, what the heck, talk about what Ames Web is.
Yep.
Just for the record, talk about what it is. Just briefly.
AimsWeb is our temperature test of testing for reading and math.
It's a state test, right? No?
It's not a state test.
No.
It's the one that we choose to use.
What we choose to use.
The word is escaping me right now.
Actually, it's a formative assessment that we do 3 times a year that helps us.
She's obviously in a much better place right now.
Much better place. It's a formative assessment that kids do on iPads or their Chromebooks. It allows us to see, based against national normative data, how do our students compare. So how do our 4th graders compare to the national norm of 4th graders, and looking at that across time. So the green pieces that you saw on the screen really are saying these students met their growth targets as projected through AimsWeb, and they are in, they do not need support. So that's what that is. And
And
then,
are you able to look at individual student data, or is it simply the aggregate?
no, we can look at all individual data, we can look at their benchmarks, we can look at their growth over time, we can dig in as teachers to see what areas may be the strength for each grade level, what areas might be a focus or concern that we want to maybe change what we're doing in Tier 1 instruction, Tier 2, or Tier 3.
And you said it's a national scale test?
Yeah, nationally normed.
So how many students is the base?
I don't know
Do you
the
know
answer
I mean,
to
is
the
it in the
national norm.
hundreds of thousands, or?
It's thousands.
Yeah.
To be a normative study, you have to be a certain size. I just don't know the size of it.
Okay.
It's, yeah. Statistically, you have to be pretty big.
And this is maybe our 5th year doing AimsWeb, 4th, something?
We were doing it at the primary for years, but then it became what we do across all 4 of our elementaries in 2020.
So, yeah, it's been 3 or 4 years, right? Okay. And we don't do a state assessment on top of that?
We do. So we have the Hampshire State assessments, which are done in April or May, right, in both buildings. Yeah.
But that starts at grade 3, so we're able to use Ames Web Plus beginning in kindergarten.
And there are no federal tests that we do or anything from, it's just state of New Hampshire.
Ames Web is a time test in some cases, so sometimes our data, when we're looking, which is why we always say it's a piece of the pie, because sometimes when we look at individual students, especially even our kindergartners, you know, you're saying, what's that letter? And they're like, A, I have an A in my name. And you're supposed to be going on to the next letter. So, like I said, it's always a piece of the pie. Like, yes, they know their letters, but as far as the time part of it goes, we have a little bit of a chat. But then again, it could be other things that it alerts us to as well.
And as a teacher, I like it because you can go in and see how they answered any question, so you can really dig deep and find which concepts they're struggling with. And for the kindergartners and first graders, it's also a conversation. You're looking at a binder, talking to them, so it's a very friendly test for the little ones.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
It was awesome.
Thank you.
So great to see.
Okay, moving on to our discussion portion of the agenda.
She's always left popsicle.
Do you want to just, I have a note, do you want to close public input?
Oh, yes, sorry, public input is now officially closed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Under discussion, I just had kind of following up on their wonderful presentation. This is also the time of year when we start to think about our goals for this coming fall. I'm not looking for a lengthy discussion tonight. I just want to put it on everybody's radar because that's what we'll start with in August. And we'll do our work over the summer. We also will be looking at the strategic plan. We are looking at 2 potential surveys, one for staff and one for community members, to kind of get more data as we do a review of our overall strategic plan for the next 5 years. Then what happens is once we do that plan, the elementary buildings across the SAU work together to formulate their goals and objectives based on their building needs. Also, along with that, we're in the midst of a literacy study for the elementary level, and we'll probably be looking at piloting a couple programs next year as we move forward to make a decision what we'll be doing with literacy. And we'll be in year 2 of the math work that we've been doing, and we'll be moving forward with some recommendation for that program as well.
Is that Envision? The
We are
math program,
presently,
is that what it is?
yeah, we're presently in Envision, and there's a discussion going on around that.
Excellent.
So you'll hear pieces on both of those programs, as well as whatever the principals bring up. So there's more of kind of SAU directed, building directed, teacher directed, and then what happens, it goes all the way down to the teacher because they use these as their goals in their teacher observations. So what are you doing in your classroom to build on all of these goals? It's a very successful process that we've used for a number of years now. So what I was really most happy to do, take any questions you might have. At the same time, just kind of get that thought process for that August meeting.
So a couple questions. So first, regarding the literacy study, just for clarification, you mean the Foundations program? What do you think? What is the literacy study?
So we're looking at ELA all across the board. So reading, writing, phonics, just about everything. Given the research that has come out, we want to make sure what we're doing is sound and best practice for our youngest learners. So it really started as a tier 3 study of what can we do to better meet the needs of our students, and then it became, well, let's look at tier 2, and then it really became, let's make sure we're sound at tier 1 and consistent across teacher to teacher, grade to grade, et cetera.
Like vertical alignment, kind of.
Yep. And
Okay.
so that just it became something that we started to look at this year when our intentions were originally to look at that next year, but there was just such a high interest in the area that we sort of fast tracked that a little bit. So it's a lot, to look at both literacy and math at the same
Yeah.
time. So we're trying not to overwhelm anyone, which is why, one of the reasons why we decided to slow math down and just give ourselves another year to review not only Envisions 2.0, as we just finished our 4th year of it here in Hollis, but also we're looking at other programs to see if there might be a better one for our needs.
Okay. So when you say literacy study, you mean something internal that the school district is doing? We're not part of anything like.
Oh, correct. It's internal, so it's, but it's really SAU 41.
Yeah.
So it includes all 3 districts.
Okay. When you talk about goals that we would be making, what kinds of things do you have in mind? As far as, like, are you thinking about, like, changes to physical buildings? Are you talking about curriculum?
We kind of have never limited the discussion. And then what we do is we take the feedback that we'll get from each of the 3 boards, and then we'll come up with what I'll call a unified presentation. And it won't be identical because obviously if we were talking about physical plants, needs at a Brookline building might be different than a Hollis building than a co-op building. But it's kind of getting the board views of, what is that 30,000 foot view that you have as a board member around. It could be about budgeting, it could be around staffing, it could be around facilities, it could be pieces that you've heard around curriculum. And where we're already committed to math and literacy, some of the pieces that we get may go into year 2 of the strategic plan. So it's still there and it's still going to occur. It just really helps us build out for the next 5-year cycle.
Okay.
I think for our board, one thing that we've touched on is, what do we do with the increase in enrollment? And how do we plan for that and
Right.
get ahead of it so that we're not
Right.
reacting to it?
Right, and that's kind of why I had the second item. I mean, we have all our committee appointments, but in August, I'd like to have a discussion around an enrollment committee. Because I think we need to take both short and long-term views
Right.
around enrollment, because we've done tremendous work in our 2 buildings that are giving us many years of useful life, but we're also seeing students arriving with some greater needs, and there may be a better way to approach those needs on site, which may enhance our educational delivery, but also at the same time be a cost avoidance, meaning I've always believed that educating children in their district, in their home school, has so many values. But at the same time, if a student needs a specific program that we can't do, we've always provided that for students. So it's kind of those type of pieces. And again, we've never really, what I'll say, limited it, because it may be something that is on our radar, but it's just not the right time. So that's why you'll see it in, say, 25, 26, might become an initiative. And then typically Paula and Candy will be back in the fall. Sometimes we've done them at the SAU board level, so that the SAU board can get kind of the picture of what does it mean for a child, because that's what we're really about, is the child is K to 12. We don't really worry about whether they're from Brookline or Hollis. It's just where do we start them and where do we end with them is the importance to us. So we haven't decided whether we'll do it. It's a unified presentation, which we were doing pre-COVID, and then we weren't doing them at all because of COVID, and now we're back. And it is. I agree with the comments earlier. This is always a fun night for me too, because I live it, and a lot of times I live the negative aspects of schools, and this reminds me of the vast majority of the things that happen every day. Any other questions around board goals or that enrollment committee? I think both of those would be August topics.
Okay, great.
And we're planning to take July off?
That's typically what we have done. I was going to address that as we move forward. Kind of, it goes with the next motion if we are ready to move to deliberations.
Sure.
Traditionally, we have not had a July meeting. We come back in August. And what the board has done is provided me with the authorization to hire, accept resignations, and terminate staff during the summer months, which basically goes from the end of tonight's meeting until our August meeting. And it's more, sometimes we'll have a staff member that moves out of district or that. And what we typically do is Candy and Paula would do their normal hiring committee. recommend one or two people to either Gina or I. We would interview them, and then once we select a candidate, we typically, either Gina or I will email the board and say, this is the new fourth grade teacher. It's, masters plus 5, this is the salary. So you have all the information. It's just getting together during the summer we've found to be very difficult, especially July. So that's why that first deliberation item is there.
May I have a motion?
Absolutely. I move to authorize the superintendent to hire, accept resignations, and terminate staff until the September board meeting and require notification to the board of such actions.
Second? Do I have a second?
I would rather not second. I thought we were talking about till the August meeting.
It's the August, yeah,
The motion read September.
It said September in the motion.
that's probably just Dawn is.
Thinking of end of summer?
Is fantastic, but you meet typically the first Wednesday in
Yeah,
August, so it's
Okay,
much
I
earlier.
can
Like-
amend my
like,
motion.
Yeah, if you could do that,
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
didn't
We have
see
an
that.
August 2nd meeting.
Yeah,
Correct, I was reading.
Oh,
that's
no,
what
I'm
you
just
told me,
letting
so
everyone
I was
know that
like,
the
all
August
right,
meeting
yeah.
is August 2nd.
yeah.
Listen, I'm doing as I'm told. I move to authorize the superintendent to hire, accept resignations, and terminate staff until the August board meeting and require notification to the board of such actions.
Second.
Discussion?
I just want to comment, sorry, I'm always so didactic, that our policy requires the superintendent to get approval of hires and fires per meeting unless we authorize him to do otherwise, and so we have always given that authorization for the summer, just because we have a new board member who may not be familiar.
Thank you. All in favor? Okay.
The second deliberative item that we added is the discussion around Kelly's memo for the end-of-year purchases. She is recommending the 3 items that were talked about during the revenue and expense report, which would be 5 interactive flat panels like the one behind us, 2 audio systems, and furniture for Hughes. We are quite confident that we will still be able to return the $100,000, but what I heard tonight was that the board wants to honor that commitment, so if we had to reduce one of our purchases to make that happen, I would instruct Kelly to do that. And Dawn is here, and she would know that, which would either be, we would just buy one less flat panel, or delay the furniture, so that would get us to the total. So we're very comfortable with this. I believe it was something that we had discussed prior to this board turning over, because I know some board members weren't necessarily thrilled that we had to make a cut to make guidance, but we felt that this would happen. I believe Dawn provided a motion.
She
did,
yeah.
She did on that
I'm
one.
poised and ready.
Ready?
I'm done.
May I have a motion?
Yeah. I move to approve the purchase of 5 interactive flat panels, $25,000, 2 audio systems, $4,000, and furniture for the Hollis Upper Elementary School, $5,000, in the order identified, if funds remain at year-end excess of the $100,000 the district has indicated would be returned to the tax base.
Second.
Discussion?
This is in keeping with the budget committee's request for the guidance that they gave us prior to the warrant, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
The idea that this would balance out tax rate increases against unassigned funds that are there, and that this makes better sense to take care of these issues, right?
And I'm pleased we're honoring our commitment to the taxpayers. I think that's
Yes.
excellent.
Correct.
So,
Right.
thank you.
All in favor?
Yeah.
And the last one, which there isn't a motion in the outline, is the follow-up to the public hearing. So we'd just be approving the maintenance trust. So it would be to see what action the board will take regarding the information provided by the business manager regarding the expendable trust to purchase the Rocky Pond transfer switch at $10,000, the hot water pump at $10,000, classroom flooring at $30,000. At the primary school, it would be Univents rebuild phase 1 for $25,000, exterior doors for $15,000, and classroom flooring for $30,000. That would be a total of $70,000 at HPS. the two buildings would have a total of $120,000, which is the approved number by the voters for the maintenance fund expenditure. Okay,
So moved.
correct.
Second.
Discussion.
I think we touched on it in,
Yeah.
during the hearing.
During the public
yeah.
hearing, yep, I agree. Okay, with that, all in favor? 4-0-0. Okay. Do we need a non-public tonight?
We do not.
We do not need a non-public, okay. Then I will take a motion to adjourn
So moved.
and a second. Second. Okay, and all in favor? Great. We are adjourned at 7:35.
Motion.